Hello, welcome back to that great show that I don't remember the name of quite often. Yeah, not quite classic theater.
It's like classic theater, but just not quite up to par. Not really.
Well, after the lovely movie Ernest Goes to Camp,
which is hard to beat.
I know, but we had to find something with even more lovable characters and just one of those kid-friendly movies,
A more meaningful plot is what I was looking for.
I'm looking for a movie with a message, and we found it in Tremors.
Tremors, the original movie about the scary worms that crawl under the ground.
Strange thing is, about 10 years ago, I saw an episode of SpongeBob SquarePants with the exact same plot. I kid you not.
I actually just watched that the other day.
Really?
Because I have a little baby son, and he loves SpongeBob. And I remember the Tremors episode, and I'm like, come on. Ripping off Tremors much? It's crazy.
Well,
I know, it was a fascinating story I just told.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, this is the movie about a giant worm's search for true love, and he finds it in a small town called Perfection.
Yes, Perfection Valley. Was it New Mexico?
I don't remember.
I think it is New Mexico.
The state with no standards.
Correct.
So anyway, Worm, it's the classic story. Worm meets town, Worm falls in love, Worm
eats everyone in the town.
Yeah. There's only like 10 people in the town, so it doesn't really matter.
Pretty much this is like your stereotypical small hillbilly town where nothing happens ever, and there's like 10 people in the town.
And one of them's Kevin Bacon, but nobody really notices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward.
Fred Ward.
Mm-hmm. Who are Earl and Val.
Earl and Val. The movie opens with a shot of Kevin Bacon peeing over a cliff.
So you know it's good. It only goes up from there.
It just starts out with that shot. The rest of the movie's kind of downhill from there, though.
It's like, where do you go after that? I mean, you pretty much hit your top, like, amazing perfection.
Yes, but it gets better, though. Kevin Bacon is in his most delightful role to date as Valentine, with his pal Fred Ward as Earl. They are the delightfully disgusting handymen around the town of Perfection.
Mm-hmm. And they do all sorts of odd jobs, kind of jacks of all trades, from
Master of none.
Yep, hauling garbage to pumping sewage to fixing fences.
They are delightfully
which they're
incompetent.
super bad at. Pretty.
You gotta wonder why they're still in their jobs. But anyway, they meet along their travels through the New Mexico desert. They meet seismologist scientist Lady Rhonda, who is working from college for something. She's just out there.
And apparently has no idea how to use sunscreen, since she has the white sunscreen all over her nose. I've never understood that. Have you ever done that?
No, I've seen it before, but I don't. It's like, is the rest of your body except your nose impervious to it?
Like nothing else is important on your face, just the entirety of your nose.
Well, maybe she makes a living off that nose. Gotta keep it protected.
Yeah, I get that.
I've heard of people insuring their noses.
When was the first time you watched Tremors? What's your earliest Tremors memory?
I was about 11 or 12. My family lived in Montana at the time, and we didn't have cable because we were in the middle of nowhere. We just had a TV and a VCR and Tremors and Tremors 2 on tape. And, well, we just spent an entire summer watching those. It was the best summer of my life.
Absolutely.
I kid you not.
Yeah, I watched Tremors. I remember watching. I don't even remember the first time. It just seems like something that it's always been, Like, you know how, like, you don't remember getting some t-shirts, you just remember always having them? It's like that.
When God said, "Let there be light," that included the Tremors movies.
It's true, yeah. Well, Eighth Day, he was like, all right, and Tremors and coffee and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And all the good stuff.
Mix things up.
Yeah. And so I actually got this super good deal on a Tremors trilogy. It has all three movies.
There's a fourth one, wasn't there?
Nope, it has all three movies.
There was a fourth
on
one.
The DVD.
That was a prequel where it was set in the Wild West.
We don't speak of that one.
Oh, I violated rule number 5, didn't I?
You violated rule number 5.
We can cut this out, right?
We're not cutting it out.
Oh, crap.
And I'm not cutting out when I punch you in the face either.
Okay. Ah, jeez, man.
That's all you get.
Okay, well, hold on. I'm going to go bandage my nose.
All right. So, Tremors. That's a crazy movie, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So anyway, Valentine and Earl. Valentine. His parents were cruel.
Yeah.
They come across on they finally decided to leave perfection because just because. And
Well, they look at their lives. I mean, you can only be in that state of being for so long before you're just like, we got to get out of here, you know? And so I don't blame them. I think it's a good move for them to move. I think that it was a responsible thing.
The sad part is they're the most respectable men in the entire town.
They are. I mean, you got the guy running the convenience store, right? That's just trying to rip everybody off.
Yeah.
All right. You got Melvin, which we'll get into Melvin later.
The entire town just hates Melvin.
Everyone hates Melvin.
And you got Bert and Heather, the Gummers, who are doomsday preppers, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they pretty much have a fortress with 100 guns on their wall in their basement, which actually comes in handy later. But
very convenient. But
yeah, and then a bunch of other nameless people in the town that don't matter. But
they're just there to get killed.
Yeah, and the girl that only does pogo stick all the time.
She's kind of got a monomania.
Now here's the thing: do they have school? Like,
I didn't see one in the town.
They just must not educate people there.
That explains why they're all so repulsive.
Correct.
Anyway, on the travels to get out of town, they come across a dead guy on a power line pole who has apparently died of thirst because he stayed up there a while. Mm-hmm. Well,
that's where things start to get crazy. Everything's pretty normal until then, I would say. And then as soon as they find dead Santa Claus up in the power line thing.
My theory is his reindeer crashed and he just sort of fell and landed there. But anyway, they come across more dead guys, construction workers and whatnot.
Yes, just an onslaught of dead friends who apparently are killed by what they think is, some kind of psycho killer who apparently only kills people and then leaves pieces of their head places.
Yes, that I think.
He just scoops up their brains and then just puts them in a hard hat for other people to find. So it's really convenient.
Yeah. What? Anyway, sheep farmer gets at a sheep farmer who looks mysteriously like Freddy Krueger.
Super weird, like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets iced.
Maybe that's his origin story.
Probably so. He's probably look it up.
Yeah.
He's probably just that guy, and he's mad about his sheep.
And a couple of campers get eaten, and the worm well, it's a giant worm, not spoilers. It's a
spoiler
worm.
Alert. It's a giant worm.
I named him Clyde.
Clyde. Yeah,
so Clyde
the most threatening name. It's like, if you're going to be afraid of something, you're afraid of Clyde.
So Clyde the worm pulls their car into the ground, and the next day, Val and Earl, they find the car with the headlights still on, poking up through the ground.
It's one of the most memorable scenes in this movie, actually, because I remember that scene from my youth.
Very beautiful childhood memory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid of station wagons because of that scene.
I'm afraid of station wagons for reasons that I really can't get into right now. Yeah. Very Christine kind of thing. But anyway, they decide to go because the road, I guess, is blocked.
Well, yeah, when the construction workers get murdered, the worm apparently also pushes rocks over onto the road conveniently.
He's a very smart worm
because it advances the plot,
Yeah, well, yeah. Clyde. Clyde's the worm. Val and Earl.
Just call him Clyde from now on. It doesn't even matter if it's the same worm. There's 4 worms.
Clyde 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Collectively, they are Clyde, and separately, they're Clyde.
Yes. They're just all Clyde. So anyway, Val and Earl decide to ride out of town on horses, but then the giant worm attacks them.
And then, oh snap, they realize stuff's under the ground. They're under the ground.
Under the ground.
Now what are we going to do?
But for some reason,
it's a whole different ball game.
Whenever the cameraman's doing a point of view of the worm, the camera's above the ground, which doesn't really make sense.
You're not going to smash your camera through the dirt.
Unless there was a character we didn't know about who was just the drunk cameraman.
Yeah, and they're actually just running away from the cameraman, and then the worm just happens to be also there.
Yeah.
And it just really worked out, so they kept it in.
Yeah.
That's probably what happened.
Drunk cameraman's my favorite character in this movie.
Drunk cameraman.
So anyway, the giant worm attacks him, and they and the seismologist science lady,
Who knows everything.
Rhonda from the Beach Boys song, "Help Me, Rhonda."
Correct.
And she does help them a lot, so I guess that's where the song came
That's exactly where it came from.
Yes.
I guarantee that.
The Beach Boys sing about giant worms a lot. They get up on the rocks and find out the worms can't go through rocks. But didn't they go through cement, though, earlier? The road?
Right?
Very
That's messed up.
That confused me.
We should write whoever made this movie. We didn't even look it up.
We
We
should.
do our homework this
All
time.
I know is one of the guys who made this movie was named Bob. That's all I know.
That's probably
That's what I saw.
true.
Bob Too Good. He was too good for this. His name was Too Good. Anyway.
Let's just take a second and talk about Melvin.
Oh, he is the delightful town scamp whose primary role is dressing up as the stereotypical 80s kid, dude, and causing jump scares.
If I knew Melvin in real life, I would punch Melvin every day.
Just like you punched me.
Yeah. Yeah.
That hurt.
Gosh. So, yeah, his main job, I guess, is doing nothing, walking around, trying to get people to buy beer for him, and throwing basketballs at people for jump scares.
Yeah. Earl's terrified of basketballs, by the way.
Yeah, he should have known. He has a condition.
Yeah. Melvin's a jerk, and the entire town hates him for it. Like, later on in the movie, when Bert gives him a gun to defend himself, he doesn't really pull any bullets in the gun, because he just wants Melvin to die.
Here's the main problem I have with this movie. I don't care about continuity things. I don't care about weird stuff that the worm could go through cement, but he can't go through rock. I don't care about all that stuff. What I care about is they didn't kill Melvin.
They really should have.
This would have been so much more satisfying if you just would have iced Melvin.
Like, there should have been a post-credits scene where Melvin just is walking around and just dies of a heart attack. I would have stood up and applauded.
Mm-hmm. Or he's just killed by, like, random, like, desert rodents. You know what I'm saying?
That should have been the sequel, Melvin's Demise.
Yep.
Tremors 2.
Yeah. Instead of Aftershocks, they just do that.
I'm wondering why this movie was called Tremors. I get the earthquake reference, but they call the worms graboids, so why didn't they just call it graboids?
Well, it's like a thematic type of thing, you know? It's like, I mean, granted, Gremlins, they were Gremlins, and you called it Gremlins.
They were.
But, like, okay, Independence Day, the greatest movie of all time, for example, okay? Let's think about this. You don't call the aliens Independence, right?
I did.
But you shouldn't.
Okay.
It's super...
This movie gave me mixed signals.
How do you do that? Okay. No, you don't call them that. It's their Independence Day when they're fighting against it, right?
Oh, you're telling me the humans in that movie were the good guys. Okay, I need to rewatch that film.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been a while, but
yeah,
anyway.
it's the earthquake thing. There's tremors, you know. You kind of feel them coming.
But Clyde Graboid has a nice ring to it.
They should have called The Adventures of Clyde Graboid, world's greatest murderer.
Crafty worm he is.
But it's funny, in the, I think it's the third one, they actually do a reference to that because I'm sure people called him Tremors all the time. And so he says, oh, Mom, you know, there's this little kid that's like, Mom, take a picture of me with this tremor. And then there's this guy that's like next to him. And he's like, they're called graboids. I mean, it's got to be.
So you think in this universe they made a movie out of the first movie in the third movie?
No, it's just people in the movie
randomly
also called them Tremors.
Okay.
It was a total breaking the fourth wall reference. I know. You can look it up on Wikipedia or IMDb.
I trust you. Anyway, where were we? Val and Earl are stranded on the rock overnight in Science Lady. Mm-hmm. And they're able to pole vault with conveniently placed sticks from rock to rock to get back to their truck.
It's a good thing I parked next to one of these rocks. Now, okay, before we even get into that, why did she park way over there? Why in the world would you park like 1,000 feet away from where you're working? It's a desert. Nobody cares where you park. Just park where you're working.
So anyway, the pole vault back to most movies could benefit from more pole vaulting, I think.
Absolutely. If you want to figure out how good a movie is, just ask yourself how much pole vaulting in hours is in the movie.
If it's less than one, you're not seeing a good
You're
movie.
doing it wrong. Except for Pole Vaulter. That was a horrible movie.
Yeah, wasn't that about rock climbing?
Ironically, yes.
Very odd. And
How
rock
does that
climbing
work?
was about dinosaurs.
And Dinosaur was... Well, that was about Dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
But Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park was about cups of water and jeeps.
Correct. That was
We
the
just
point
watched
of
cups
that.
of water for like an hour and a half. It was very fascinating. Sometimes it would ripple. Mm-hmm. I can see why they made the sequels. And then amazing plot twist, the new Jurassic Park movie. Nobody dies. Everyone has a fun time.
Yeah, it's an uneventful, just fun event. Like, just a wonderful vacation.
It ends with happiness and ponies. Anyway, they end up going. The characters go back to the market owned by what's his name, and they do.
His name is Walter Chang.
It is.
All
I
right.
didn't catch that.
Walter Chang,
Okay,
who drives
But-
a hard bargain.
he does. They get back to Walter Chang's place and realizing the severity and enormity of the situation, they immediately devise a plan of action, which is to name the worms.
Yep.
They need to be.
All of their effort is now consumed in just naming the worms.
They go through several names. Mm-hmm.
I liked snakeoids.
Yeah. I suggested Billy Bob Jimmy Joe, but they didn't listen.
They didn't even
They're
think about Clyde.
I know, they're hillbillies. You'd think they would, but nope, graboids. Anyway, I have issues with that, but... Clyde. But then the worm attacks the market, so the fun times are over, and it eats Walter Chang.
Pour it out. Pour it out for Walter Chang.
Yeah. I have no idea what that means.
You know how, like, gangsters will pour liquor on the ground?
You're making this up.
I'm not.
are.
It's for their dead homies.
Okay, I don't live on the streets like you do, so
I live on the streets. I'm a gangsta.
Yeah.
Anywho, so yeah, it's a big thing in this movie that you're not supposed to make noise because these things can kind of hear the vibrations underground.
I think they were just reading their live tweets. That's how they know where they are.
How do they know where we are? Oh, well, he's live tweeting the whole thing.
Oh man, I left location services on my Facebook. Dude, foiled by technology again.
Man, there'd be a lot less deaths if everyone wasn't live tweeting. Stupid.
I think it was mostly Melvin doing that.
It had to be Melvin. It was that. Oh, who was that?
Horrible man, kid Melvin.
So you're not supposed to make noise, and of course there's the convenient girl that pogo sticks all the time, which is making the most possible noise while standing in the same area. Other than tap dancing. If she were tap dancing, it'd be a little better actually. But no, she's doing that right about the time where they figure out no noise, no one make any noise, and then chilling.
So
it was shivers down my spine.
but they go out and they save they try to save the little girl, but in the process, science lady Rhonda, she gets wrapped up in barbed wire, and she has to remove her pants.
Of course.
I wonder why they included that.
Gee,
scene.
I don't know. Probably America. Thanks,
Yeah.
America.
God bless you, America.
So they're so Val's giving her first aid and everything, and then what's the other guy's Earl?
Earl, he's just
Earl's sitting
creeping.
there just being a creeper.
Don't mind me, lady. I'm just really
Just
in the feeling.
I'm just a creepy dude.
I'll go creep on something else now. But anyway, the worm attacks again, and they all end up on the roof. And
Yeah.
Bert,
About that time, they call Bert and Heather, who apparently are the most dense people in the world, because they call them and tell them, hey, they're under the ground.
you need to get on the roof. What? Get on the roof. Stay underground? No, get on the roof. Okay, we'll stay down here. Bye.
No, they're underground. We don't see anything. They're under the ground.
We'll just stay here then.
Okay, we'll just stay here.
So the worm attacks and breaks through the basement wall, but they shoot it with
They shoot it
a lot
with
of guns.
100 bullets
all the guns.
until
they
it
shoot
dies.
with.
Most guns. They
So
shoot
that's-
it with most guns.
And then Bert goes, oh, wait a minute. We're supposed to go on the roof.
That's what I think. I think you meant the.
I thought you would say
The
woof, as in
basement.
we should save our dog.
Yeah, we don't even have a dog.
You guys.
Stupid people.
Let's go to the roof now. Let's go to the roof.
Meanwhile, the worms are getting smarter and smarter.
They're smart enough to disable their cars so they can't go anywhere, and their next move, of
Conveniently.
course, is to get them involved in the pyramid scheme, and they'll lose millions. These are smart worms.
You know,
They go into insider trading on Wall Street. They jip people out of a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
where do you think Martha Stewart got her skills?
Worm connections.
Graboids.
Clyde and Martha, they're in an unholy alliance.
That's true. So the worms are getting smarter, and they're
And Val's getting dumber.
yep, they're about to rip this town out from below.
Which
our
isn't much
loved
of a big
people.
loss. It's like
It's like
buildings.
three or four buildings.
3 buildings and a water
They're about to
tower.
rip 3 or 4 buildings out from under these people.
Major blow to the economy.
So we got to get out. You know, we got to straight abandon our home.
So they get out of town by jumping on this big old Caterpillar tractor. Mm-hmm. Because apparently they can pull a car down, but they can't pull the tractor down. And
Well,
maybe if they just teamed up, they could do it.
it's got to be at least 30 tons. That's what they say.
Well, these are big worms.
Which I'm gonna say is probably not right. It just doesn't seem like that tractor would be 30 tons. It's just not that big. I mean, it's dense, I'm sure, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything.
It's not nearly as dense as Val's skull, though.
Ooh, good, true. So they hook up the trailer, distract the worms with the riding lawnmower like you do, and they start rolling out.
But the worms
Like
are
a-
smart, and they dig a trap.
Yep. So they get all their guns and get
One of the
everything.
townspeople was disguised as a worm. Mm-hmm. That's how they did it.
They dig an incredible trap, which I'm going to go ahead and call Jurassic Park 3 on this.
Oh, the worst one of them all.
They stole the trap thing from this movie.
That kid in Jurassic Park 3 should not have survived.
Nobody should have survived. It was an adverse situation at best. Nobody should have
Jurassic
survived.
Park 3 was just ridiculous.
None of these situations should be survivable.
It opens with people water skiing past the island. Like, hey, look, remember that island full of dinosaurs?
We
go
should
there.
hang out there.
This is going to be a fun vacation. So anyway, Jurassic Park 3, oh, wait. Wrong
Wait
movie.
a minute.
We're getting off on the tangent.
I don't even know where we're at. I don't know what's going on.
So anyway, the dinosaurs dug a trap for the caterpillar, and so they get out, and they end up stranding on the rocks again.
And then after some girly drama between the main 2 guys, they
Arguing
decide-
over whose hair is better looking.
yes, which obviously is Kevin Bacon's.
Well, yes, he must have had a personal stylist because that hair was just long and flowing.
Yeah,
and
it was actually the Flying Fabrizi sisters.
Yes, they were the costume designers.
they were the hair and makeup.
I highly doubt the Flying Fabrizi sisters are real people.
Look it up.
I think they hired like a murderer from a prison to do it, and they just wanted to sort of hide that, so they called them the Flying Fabrizi sisters.
Yep. Everybody just has murderer prison haircuts in that movie. Think about
The
it.
casting call consisted of going to a local penitentiary
Yeah, they just picked up whoever.
and Kevin Bacon to make it look legitimate.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
This movie
anymore.
was a big tax write-off.
The point is they throw some bombs at the end. They fish for these things, which
Yeah,
turns out to be the best idea they'd had all day.
They throw the bombs out that Bert had because Bert knows how to make these bombs. I'm thinking
Bert
before all
knows
this
his
happened.
bombs.
I'm thinking before this worm thing happened, Bert was planning something dastardly.
Well, he was a survivalist, you know. He was waiting for World War III.
Maybe, but he might have been planning to bomb a certain. It's
Not saying anything, just saying.
putting it out there for you. You decide. But anyway, they go fishing for the worms. But then there's one worm left, and he ain't falling for the bait.
Yeah, he's the smart worm that dug the trap.
Yeah.
And probably really good at checkers, too.
The situation's reversed. Instead of the worm on the hook, it's the worm eating the hook.
Oh, snap.
I just realized that.
Yeah, it's reverse fishing, so think about that.
If they had tied the bomb to a fish, it would have been funny.
That would have been awesome.
But anyway, this worm is smart
But Val has a plan.
because, I don't know, he's Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, I guess he's Kevin Bacon. So he decides that he's going to run towards the cliff, mess up throwing the bomb, and then jump at the last minute. And the
Which wasn't really a plan so much as dumb luck, I guess.
yeah, it's
don't
like
think
he really had that planned. Don't think so,
Yeah,
friend.
he thought that out.
Sorry. And so the worm goes careening off of the cliff and onto the jagged rocks below.
He's a very
and
fragile
explodes
worm.
a lot like a water balloon. Pretty
These are like
much nothing inside that
fragile
worm
worms.
except for liquid.
And these worms have blood in them, and I don't think real worms do.
Well, these worms don't even have bones or anything. I mean, do real worms have bones?
No, they're just... You can, like, cut them apart and everything. They're worms.
Well, maybe it's accurate then.
Well, I don't think they have...
Man, that just shatters my whole universe. I gotta go think about my life.
This movie has some very weird science, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, apparently these worms predate the fossil record or something. I don't know.
Pre-Cambrian life forms. Pre-Cambrian
life forms.
You know?
Yeah, I remember back when worms ruled the earth.
Yeah.
They set up little worm communities, did
Yeah.
all their worm business,
Had worm 7-Elevens where
worm
you could go
banking,
and buy
buy a worm sub sandwich.
buy a tiny container of people to catch fish with.
They used to go fishing for people which weren't around yet, so they didn't get very many bites.
But the very end...
The Worm Congress was very corrupt.
Yes,
That's what
it
led to the collapse of that society.
Yeah, why do you think they're extinct now? Stupid Congress.
Yeah, but see, fortunately, a couple of worms preserved their bodies, and now that's why they're in modern-day New Mexico messing with hillbillies.
Yep. It's the only answer.
Unless they were, like, on vacation. or
Sleep
something.
for millions of years.
Wake up
Terrorize
and-
like
what?
10 people.
Terrorize
That's the
some
point.
hillbillies.
That's the point of their existence, I guess.
I get the feeling these worms were the slacker worms in their society who just, like,
They just
messing
woke
with
up.
other people.
It just didn't have anything better to do. It's like, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know. We
Dude.
could hang out. We should kill a bunch of people.
Dude, that sounds fun. I was just gonna stay at home and play Xbox, but that
Yeah,
sounds a lot
but-
more fun.
But there's a lot of people we can kill.
You got any Mountain Dew?
Yes. Let's
Cool,
do it.
let's
Let's
get-
get some
let's
Mountain
get-
Dew
come
and
on,
let's
man.
go kill some people.
Let's crank up the Nirvana and roll!
They only listen to Nirvana. Graboid, that's a fact you've heard here. Graboids only listen to Nirvana.
It is true.
Super.
But anyway, Val
Last scene of the movie.
ends up with Science Lady, who is apparently really desperate and has no standards.
0 standards. And you know what every girl likes? When you come up to her and you don't say anything and you just attack her. Just attack her with a kiss.
Oh, Kevin Bacon, your constant swearing, greasy hair, and repulsive lifestyle really turned me on.
You know what wouldn't happen? This movie. Because of that. The worm thing, I'll believe. But that, no way.
Suspension of disbelief will only go so far, ladies
I
and
was
gentlemen.
very aware I was watching a movie.
It's like at that point you go, okay, we need some better writers.
Yeah. So, I think we pretty much rocked this review.
I think we did.
You're welcome, America. Sweet.
My nose is bleeding again.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hard punch.
Well,
I'm gonna get
you
another bandage.
shouldn't have been mouthing off.
Sorry.
Well, let us know if you want us to review a specific movie.
There's only one movie we won't do. Mm-hmm. And
Jurassic
that is...
Park- What is it?
It is Space Jam, because that one is a classic and we cannot touch it.
No one can say anything for or against Space Jam.
Don't even mention the name of the movie.
It is only... It just is. It is the standard to which we compare everything.
Bugs Bunny playing basketball is like... You know Citizen Kane? Citizen Kane was nothing. Space Jam.
Space Jam. So how many broken worms atop a pile of rocks would you give Tremors?
I would give 2 broken worms, a buried car, and half of Walter Chang.
And again, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't, but that's the rating system I'm going with. Take it or leave it.
Good. Good job.
Anyway, this is Jake and Casey. Casey signing off.